Hey eBay sellers, it's Suzanne A. Wells. Thanks for coming back for another video. And we are going to do an opposite of a haul video today, kind of putting a different spin on the normal kind of haul video out there and showing you some things that I have actually sold. This comes from my Pinterest board, which there is a link below this video. What I've been doing here is keeping a record on Pinterest of sales I have had on eBay back to 2013, I believe. So we're working in from least current to most current. And I keep this because for my own motivation, so I can look back and see what types of items that I've sold and different phases I've been through, and just a reminder when things get slow that it will get better again and just to keep going. So I think we stopped at this Peter Millar golf shirt, which this is a good brand to look for, and it's Millar, Peter Millar. I believe, yeah, I got this one for $1 at a thrift store and sold it for $29.97. A tip on golf shirts is bright colors. Those do really well. Big sizes, bright colors, and the logo does matter. I actually have a ebook about selling golf shirts, which was one of the first product lines I got into when I started eBay, and I update it annually, so the information is still correct. So you can look at the links below. There is a link to that, to my ebooks. But anyway, I have found over time selling golf shirts that you want to look at bright colors, higher end brands, large sizes, and the logos of the different golf courses. So let's move on to something else. Thomas Dean dress shirts. I know the guys on YouTube that talk about men's clothing mention these all the time with the contrasting flip cuffs, and it's just a matter of the size and the color. You want to look those up for sure, but these are also easy to spot on the racks of clothing, or if you're looking through the bins or that kind of thing, because the cuffs and the collar are contrasting. This I got at a Goodwill for $5. It was new with the tag, and I sold it for $35. So love those flips where you can make 6 to 7 times your or more your investment on an item. I don't do a lot of men's clothing anymore. I just got really burned out on it, and I think you'll notice I say that a lot. I got burned out on Amazon. I got burned out on books, and it's just your business keeps evolving and you want it to be interesting and fun. And as you go along with this business over time, why not change and keep it interesting? And other things are going to come along. You can't do everything. There's just, if you're a one person operation, which I know a lot of you are, it's just impossible to do everything. So you have to narrow down your scope a little bit. So I'll do a few men's items, but that is definitely not the mainstay of my business anymore, although it used to be when I first started. Okay, here is another thing to look for, and I have a video about sorority items. I will put a link to that on the top right. My sorority was Alpha Chi Omega, so these seem to jump out at me. I find this one a lot. But this was actually a Vineyard Vines tote bag that was custom made for an Alpha Chi Omega sorority. And I got this for, let's see, $1.75 at a thrift store, and I had to dig through piles and piles of luggage and bags, and this store is not very well organized, but there's good stuff in there. So I had to work for this one, but I did sell it for $29.97, paid $1.75 for it. And when you're selling sorority items, you want to spell out the words of the sorority, not just the Greek letters, because when people are searching, they're going to put in the actual words, not the Greek letters, even though there are ways to do keyboard shortcuts to make the Greek letters, but you definitely want to write them out. And I will add that sorority items are good sellers, even if they're used, because these girls are love their sororities. They want their Greek letters everywhere on their clothing, bags, dorm room decor, apartment decor, car accessories, you name it. So watch out for these kind of things. And if you've had a daughter in a sorority, or if you were in one yourself and you've kind of kept all your stuff but don't know what to do with it, you might consider trying to sell some on eBay, because it does it is a good seller. Sweatshirts and the hoodies and jackets and all that stuff are good sellers. Okay, so let's see what else we can find. This is One World. Oh, that did not go to the right place. What I was going to show you was called a brand called One World. And let me just zoom in. I'm sorry these screenshots are not really clear, because that's what they are, is screenshots from eBay. And this is just how they get saved on Pinterest. They're just not really clear. But the brand is called One World, and it was a hoodie and a jacket. It was size 2X. It had rhinestones and sequins, and I bought it for $1.75 and sold it for $24. So that is a brand to look for in the sublimation tops, which are the multicolored tops with sequins. I've got a video on sublimation tops. I'll put that link in the top right for you also, so you can watch that. But that is definitely a word to use in your titles. Let's see, we've already talked about, oh, this is fit and flare. That's different. This is another keyword that you should know for describing denim skirts. Fit and flare. They're tighter at the top, and then at the hips they flare out. So another word could be tulip skirt, and this is a popular style. So not just a modesty skirt, which is another keyword, but fit and flare when they're this shape that's like an upside down tulip. And this skirt I got for $1.75, and it sold for $18.97. Now, some of you are asking, where am I getting stuff so cheap? You just have to find the thrift stores with the bargains. Sometimes, what I do is I have a chart I keep that tells me that I have mapped out the days where all the thrift store sales are and if there's any extra discounts. There's one I go to that has $2 day, just everything is brand new in the store, meaning they replenish the store on one day and everything in there is $2 the next day. And then the price goes down over the week, but you get the best choice when you go on the $2 day, although I think it's $2.25 now. But that store is like 2 miles from my house. And I have also found some church thrift stores, which is great if you have those in your area, where you can get stuff for $1. I go to this one, everything in there's $1, and the stuff's amazing. The sweet little church ladies, they just love their job, their volunteer work in there, and they put the stuff out. I was in there last week, and there was a new volunteer, and she wasn't quite sure what to do, and she was this sweet little old lady, and the phone started ringing, and she didn't even know how to answer the phone, because it was like a higher tech kind of phone. So the other lady was showing her how to do it, and so I said, well, do you want me to call you so you can practice answering the phone? So we got a kick out of that. But the church stores are great because they're doing this as a fundraiser and for the community, and they really just don't even care what's in there, so they just put everything at the same price sometimes. And it's just a ministry they enjoy doing, so it's also very pleasant to shop in there. Then I also do consignment stores. I find out when they do their closeouts and their clearance, and I go on those days. I know when the Goodwill color change happens. There's another store in my area that the last Wednesday of every month they do 50% off all clothing. So I'll share my chart with you on another video, and maybe make up a template so you could make your own. But it's very helpful to have all that mapped out so that it's okay, it's Thursday, you need more inventory. Where should you go? Where's the best deal? That's how you have to think about this, is you really do make your money when you buy, not just when you sell. So the cheaper you can get things, the better. So that is my speech on prices. Um, okay, this is a Rothschild girl's coat. If you are not familiar with the brand Rothschild, this is one you want to get to know. They also make the beautiful little girls' dressy coats like you would see little girls wearing to church or to dressy events. The beautiful wool coats with the button, gold buttons up the front, and sometimes they have a cape attached or a hood, and they're very tailored with a sash sometimes, just with gorgeous applique and just beautiful details. This one was a raincoat, so it didn't have quite all of that, the extras and the details on it, but still a good coat. And I got this at my $1.75 thrift store, and it sold for $35. So don't discount, don't rule out children's clothing. I still look for certain things in the children's clothing. I'm kind of like go to each department of the thrift store and have figured out the best things to pick that work for me. So, I'll look at the coats, the fancy dresses like the Easter dresses or the holiday dresses for little girls, or costumes also do well, and sometimes sleepwear. So there's a lot of different things that I will look at in the children's department that could be high profit to sell. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. This brand is called Soft, Sofft, and these are dress shoes that are comfort dress shoes. You wouldn't be able to tell by looking at them that they're a comfort shoe, but that hence the name Soft. They are very comfortable. They're usually leather or suede, and they're made to look dressy even though they're comfort shoes. So these I got for $1.25 at my thrift store, and it's sold for $28. There are a lot of good videos on YouTube about shipping shoes, so I just don't like doing the shipping information. There's so much on YouTube already there that I just don't feel like I need to recreate that for you. This is a brand called Soft Surroundings. I have a video about this brand if you're not familiar. This skirt was a denim modesty skirt, and it sold for $22.97. I paid $1.75 for it at a thrift store, and I still pick these up today. Even though this sale happened in 2014, I've tried to identify things that stand the test of time and will sell all the time, that are steady sellers year after year. So if you're wanting to grow your business and have a base, what I call like steady sellers, your bread and butter items, wardrobe basics, these are the kind of things you're going to see on my board here that are just repetitive over and over again, that stand the test of time. Now here is a leather jacket. This I got for $5 at Goodwill, and it sold for $32.97 plus shipping. Leather sells year round. If you have it, list it, because bikers wear it all the time. In fact, I believe in some states it's required that they wear leather when they're riding, because if you don't know, if you're in a motorcycle accident, you are injured much worse than if you're in a car accident, because you're unprotected, you're out in the open. And the leather helps keep your skin from just peeling off and getting burned off when you are dragged along the ground, or if the bike falls on you, or if there's a fire. It helps protect your skin and your body. So that's why bikers wear leather. any bikers watching this, correct me if I'm wrong, that's where it comes from. It's like a safety issue. So these will sell all year. And also remember, leather is stylish. People want to wear it. Even though it may be hot in the South, people up in Canada may be putting on a leather jacket in the evenings in the summer if it's cool. So, or they may also be buying these for drama or theater, for plays like Grease, or other what's that one? I can't think of the name of it. It's back in the 50s, like Bye Bye Birdie, and all those kind of plays that leather is worn as a costume. So just keep that in mind. Get out of your own head. Don't just think about the weather where you are. It's not always about the weather. It could be they're buying it for another reason. Okay, so this is a baby item, McLaren brand stroller bag. And I didn't know what this was until a friend of mine, whoops, I'm having trouble with my internet here. A friend of mine, oops, sorry about that, introduced me to this brand, and we were digging through the bins at one of our thrift stores. It's not a Goodwill bin store, it's just another one. And she started selling these and was doing really well. So that's why it's great to go shopping with other sellers, because you can learn all kinds of stuff. And I just don't think sharing information is going to hurt anybody, because there's no way you can find it all. There's no way anybody else can find it all. There's always going to be more coming. So this was a black mesh all-purpose organizer and stroller bag. Got it for $1.75 and it sold for $19. And this was like so easy to ship. It was so lightweight, so that was an easy sale. Okay, this is a fun thing to look for. These t-shirts that are embellished with rhinestones or sequins. And I find these all the time with wine sayings on them. Like it'll have a wine glass and it'll say something like, oh, I don't even know. I've sold so many of them, wine and friends or something like that. But there's all different ones. And so anything with cats sells well. This I got for $1.75 and it sold for $19.97. And I actually put, crazy cat lady in the title, because who knows, somebody might search for that. And these little shirts are so cute and easy to sell. Two of the brands that I can remember, one is called Chris's Stuff and one is called Cactus Bay. This was a Cactus Bay. So just something else to put on your list. If you only have time to do so many things, you can go look through the black t-shirts and look for the ones like this that have the rhinestone designs on them, because they're kind of fun. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Okay, this was just sort of a funny little item. It was like no big deal. This was a ceramic Rooster utensil holder, and the brand was Cordon Bleu. I paid $2 for this at a garage sale, and it sold for $24.97 plus shipping. So if you're not looking around at other things in the thrift store or at garage sales, if you're only sticking with one type of item, you're definitely leaving things behind. It's always a good idea to just look. You never know what's going to jump out at you that you might be able to sell. So this just appealed to me because I thought, well, roosters are a big thing in country kitchens and with the urban farmhouse and all that stuff. And I thought, that might be a good find for somebody, and that worked out really well. Okay, here's one of my favorite and steady sellers, Cashmere Sweaters. This one was a 2X, which is really hard to find. I have only found a handful of 2X 100% cashmere sweater. It was also Land's End, which is a well-known and reputable brand that lasts. and it was $1.75. I sold it for $35, including shipping. So that was a great sale. When you find those big size cashmere sweaters, even if they have holes in them, go ahead and list them. And I do have a video about selling damaged cashmere, what you can do with it. So I'll put that on the top right. So check that out. Um, but sales on these have gone down over the years. I used to get a lot more. I think it's just because the market's more saturated. But you can still get money for it. And speaking of Cashmere Cutter Lots, here is one that I sold. This lot was all pink, and it had an orange one in there too. And let me see if I can enlarge this a little. This cost me $11 for the sweaters in this lot, and they sold for $32.97 plus shipping. And as I mentioned in my other video, these do sell best, at least for me, when they're grouped together by color scheme, because you may have somebody who's making something for to match a bedroom, or that's somebody's favorite color, or if it's for a little boy or a little girl, they want to go with the blue or the pink. But this goes back to 2014. I've been selling these for years. This is what you want to do with sweaters that you can either the cashmere, 100% cashmere, that you can get really cheap, or when you get them home and you realize they have some damage, you can salvage them and sell them in lots like this. And you do want to use the keywords cutter lot, because that's what the crafters will be searching for. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Eileen Fisher. This brand also used to sell for a lot more than it does now, but it's still a good steady seller, and the larger sizes the better. So this was a cotton jacket. It was extra large, zip front, and it was $1.75. I must have been going to that store a lot at this time, and sold for $29.97. So that's a good flip. I also find that for clothing, black, you just can't go wrong selling black because it goes with everything. So if you have to make a choice, if you're limited on a budget or space in your house, it just seems like black is a good seller for clothing. Okay, let me go to another one here. We'll do a few more. And this was a Gap dress, which obviously not a super high-end brand, but a good steady seller. I got this one for $1.75, and it was made of in the Madras pattern, MADRAS. So if you're not familiar with that, I do have a video about that. I got this one because it was the pastels, and it was a large size. It was a size 16. So the larger sizes do sell much better for me. I really don't sell much that's under a size 4, just because my personal experience, I do better with larger sizes. But this sold for $18.50, and I got it for $1.75. So there is almost 10 times what I paid for it, which is what you want, contrary to the rule floating around there that your sale price should be 3 times what you paid. It should actually be a lot more. If you want to make more money per hour, you want to go for the higher dollar, higher profit items. This is a Star Wars Juniors t-shirt. It was not vintage. It was just, I think it was Kohl's or Target, or it was not a vintage shirt. But this was in April 2014. $1.75 at a thrift store, and it sold for $16.97. And I picked up this because it was the bright purple. It was a little different, and I think a Star Wars movie had just come out. I'm not sure, but this one just kind of jumped off the rack at me, so I gave it a try, and that worked out. Now this thing I have found so many times, and actually I actually had one for my dogs and they wouldn't use it. But this is called Doggy Steps, and I kept finding these at garage sales. And in this affluent neighborhood, so that was kind of funny. But it's basically a plastic form that you snap together, and then you put this cover over it, and the dog just, little dogs that or older dogs that have trouble jumping up on the couch or the bed or whatever, use these little doggy steps, and you can move them around. So I got this one at for $5 at a garage sale, and it sold for 19.97 plus shipping. And to ship it, you just break it down, and it fits in one of those, like a shirt box, USPS shirt box. So really easy to put together. But I have found this like 3 or 4 times, and it's something I look for at thrift stores because it's usually a pretty fast and easy flip. I'm not sure what the pet stores charge for it, but for some reason it sells just fine on eBay. So that's one of my look for items. I've got a lot of these denim modesty skirts on here. Okay, this is one I want to tell you a little story about. Okay, this radio, first of all, the Panasonic flip clock radios do great. This one was $2 at a garage sale, and it sold for $39.97. Now, let me tell you the story behind this. So, I had gone up to where the neighborhood my dad lives in, which is north of Atlanta. It's in a place called Cumming, Georgia, and it's called the Polo Fields. And it's an affluent neighborhood. The houses go over $1 million in there, so we like to go to their neighborhood garage sale. So we go to this one house, and apparently the grown children were running the garage sale for the mom because they were trying to get her downsized and moved into an assisted living. And the mom was there and everything, but the grown children were like trying to get that house cleaned out because there was so much stuff in there. So I was, talking to one of the daughters that was running the sale, and I was looking around at stuff, and I found this clock in one of the boxes, and I was like, how much do you want for this? And she's like, oh, $2. And I'm like, well, okay, can I plug it in to make sure it works? And so we looked around, we finally went into the kitchen and plugged it in and got it turned on, and it worked and everything. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember that clock, and we used to listen to that in the kitchen every morning. And my dad died when I was in high school, and I remember that clock when we were all getting ready for school, and it was kind of sentimental to her, but she was okay to let it go. And so I bought some other stuff there from them also. But then when I went back to my dad's house, I was kind of telling him where I had bought certain things because he knows all these neighbors because he was the president of the homeowners association for like 5 years, so he knew everybody in the neighborhood. And I was like, yeah, and this was the house I got it from. And he's like, oh, that's the McDonald's house. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And he said, Larry McDonald, and that's his widow. And I'm like, well, who's Larry McDonald? And Larry McDonald was the congressman or the state representative from Georgia who was on a commercial airline that was shot down over between Alaska and Russia back in the early 80s, and it was this huge controversy, and there was a lot of people on that plane that were killed. And so I had no idea that's whose family I was buying this stuff from. But that's a very interesting story. If you are a Gen Xer or a baby boomer, you may remember this plane. He was actually a doctor Larry McDonald was a doctor who became the state representative for Georgia and got into politics. But he was on this plane that was shot down over communist airspace, I believe, and it was, a huge big story. And I remembered in high school this happening. So that was just kind of a weird thing that happened when I was out garage sailing. You just never know whose house you're going to be in. And I think I wrote a story about this on my blog. I'll have to check. But anyway, just, eBay is interesting on all levels. So there's that story. Okay, and so here's one more. This I also got at that neighborhood garage sale for $2. just the base of this food processor, and I sold it for $24.97. This is a funny story too because the people didn't even think it worked. And they had all this stuff in their garage. They were just cleaning out. They had multiples of all these different kitchen appliances. They just were trying to get rid of stuff. And so I plugged it in and it worked fine. And he's like, I don't even know where the parts are. And so it was from a blender, sorry, blender food processor base. And I think I may have found, I think this is the rest of it over here. Okay, yeah. So they found the bowl and the pusher and they gave it to me for free. They're like, "Oh yeah, here's the rest of it. Just take it." And so I sold the free parts, which was the bowl and the pusher, for $32.97 plus shipping. So all of that was that was free. So, hey, when you're at garage sales, you want to talk to people and, kind of chat them up a little bit. You never know what they might throw in for free, just because they like you and you're nice and they enjoy talking to you. So that was fun. Let's do one more here. I remember getting this at the same garage sale. This is Needlework. It's counted cross stitch. It was $3 and it sold for $14.97. And I will say anything horse like this sells well. This, artsy, whether it's paintings like a paint by number or something hand painted, horse t-shirts. I've just sold so much different horse stuff, but I always pick up horse stuff because horse lovers will buy a lot of stuff because they want it all around, and that's great. It's kind of like dog breeds, if it's a specific dog breed, people will buy it if they have that kind of dog. And this is the last one. I remembered this was from the same neighborhood yard sale as the clock radio. I got this for $3 and it sold for $45. And this is the vintage Gortons of Gloucester fisherman guy, like on the fish sticks bag. But I knew this was going to go up to New England somewhere. I'm like, somebody's going to buy this for their house on the beach, their Cape Cod house, their restaurant. Somebody's going to buy this because it was very detailed needlework. It was needlepoint and it was framed. It did not have glass on it, but it was a beautiful piece that took a lot of work. And that's just, to me, that's where, and sure enough, somebody in Maine bought it. And that's where it went. And I think they had a bed and breakfast or something, but it went, I had a gut feeling that it was going to go somewhere up there where they know what this guy is, the Gortons of Gloucester fisherman. And sure enough, that's where it went. So pay attention to those hunches and that intuition because it's usually right. I hope this wasn't too long and it was educational for you. Would love your comments on any of these items. If you've found these things, sold them, or have any other information to add for other sellers so that we can all work together to make more money on eBay. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.